Okay, let's begin this debate. Why don't we? I've been waiting literally 2 weeks. I've given everybody 2 weeks to prepare arguments, if they wanted to prepare them, of course, because I have some prepared myself. Usually I just hop into debates and, I go at it, and then Deer sits there, and, the Deer fan club comes and hordes over me, and yeah, it's a lot of fun there. But hey, we're here today. We got 4 people in the call right now, and I think today's going to be a pretty good day. So if you guys want to talk, you can turn on your microphone. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Uh, I will be reading in the comments, or not the comments, the messages here on Discord too. But the main thing that I'm going to be taking here is if you're actually talking to me, that'd be great. But of course, if you don't want to, you don't have to. This is all going to be uploaded onto YouTube, by the way, assuming it doesn't go like horribly bad, like a freaking nuclear bomb happens in the background or something, uh, or something crazy, then I'll have to cut it off. But this is the Necro versus Evo debate on the Fuzzy Syckx channel. So sit back, relax. If you don't already have your popcorn, I don't know what you're doing, and we're gonna begin. So, in this debate here, we're going to be talking about a few different areas with Evo and Necro. I'm going to try to keep it kind of overall, but I have a feeling that I'm going to end up talking more about if you are Necro and you are Evo on either side. Maybe we'll talk about being non-Evo and non-Necro, like another school trying to use it. I don't know. Just keep that in mind throughout the debate. I have some calculations here. By no means, I will not claim that my calculations are 100% correct. I will not, because I'm certain they aren't. They're probably a few digits off in certain directions. Some things I didn't really test very much, but they're better than just statements, I would say. Or I would assume that people would agree that a calculation is better than a statement. So if you disagree with the calcs, try to point out. The only way to disagree with it is pointing out if I actually messed it up. I'll try to explain all the calculations for you as well if you want to hear them get explained. And we're going to begin. So I'm going to start off talking about Drain Life versus Blast combo, because whenever I first started thinking about doing calculations, I went into Globot and I said, you know what? I think Drain Life is better than Blast combo. If you don't know what Blast combo is, that's Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Evo. So Blast Try Single. And I still hold true to that. I still think that Necromancy, or it just Drain, not even Necromancy, is better than Blast combo. One scroll. This will be in open world PvP, by the way. This can be like small group PvP, one-on-one in open world. We'll probably just be thinking about like one-on-one in open world for this, but it can also brought into smaller group, or it can be like a war. We might talk a little bit into that. First important thing to put out there that I need everybody to understand is that I'm going to be taking one school against the other school. I am not going to be including the popular Necro argument that you can just silence them, because you can also silence an evoker. If you didn't know that, by the way, you can also silence them, and silence can be broken. But wait a minute, Fuzzy. You can also blind a necromancer. Oh wait, you can do that to an Evo too, and it can be broken too. Fear works on an Evo too. We're just not going to use it, because at the end of the day, I think everybody can agree PvP pretty much just comes down to RNG, and it sucks, but whatever. But I'm here today to try to prove that there is a hierarchy between the schools, and that, of course, is going to start with Necromancy. So we will only be using Necro versus Evo. No intermediate scrolls, none of that baloney, whatever. So that ends off the introduction. Alright, so strap in, here we go, about to get into the calcs. Alright, so when you're taking Drain versus Blast combo, you need to take one thing into consideration when we're talking about the calcs. So I could go throughout a few different levels of people. Like, of course, people aren't just in one level range in Aberoth. You can be in all sorts of level ranges. But in general, I'm going to be talking about a person who has either just gotten a Terra Shield or who has had a Terra Shield for a while, has had a Terra Shield before, it doesn't matter. The level range is roughly level 250, all 8 skills included. Your dagger and axe don't really have to be high level. It's just like a rough estimate, middle of the road. This is like an average PvPer nowadays. You can make arguments that people with mind shields can be average PvPers too, but I'm pretty sure people can agree that a person that is wearing a Terror Shield is usually stronger than a person wearing a Mind Shield. So that's just what we're going to be taking into consideration today, and we're going to be taking gear that is complementary to their Terror Shield. I don't think the life level is going to matter that much because we could go into it and go like round by round over and over, technically using blast combo embers between drains, winds, whatever the crap. I'm just going to be proving today that over time, drains are more efficient. You will be getting more out of them than a blast combo. And this will be taking open world PvP, by the way. So, the Evoker, the Necromancer is not going to stand on top of the Evoker. Keep that in mind, okay? I'll have to repeat these points many, many times because I need this to be drilled into your noggins. Alright, let's begin the calculations. Here are the resistances that our dear friend Necromancer is going to have. I'm going to actually not include the burnt parchment against drain lives at first. I will include it later though, and this is because I've actually figured out that not everybody actually wears a burnt parchment around this level. I'm not really sure why. I definitely say you should wear a burnt parchment around this level because if you seen my charm ranking guide before it got deleted, I'm pretty sure burnt parchment was like number 3 or number 2 on there. Great charm. You should wear it for sure. So I'm not going to be taking that at first, but I will take it into consideration later. I'm also not going to be taking Clover into consideration first, but I will be taking it into consideration later. So here are the resistances we got. 10% dodge 10% dodge from agility boots. That's for the Necromancer blocking Evo. There are going to be no Necro resistances, by the way, because they hardly exist. It's only magic resistance. So all these resistances are going to be against Evo. So this is what the Necromancer is holding. So 10% dodge, 30% deflection with a mirror. Now, one thing you could say is that, well, maybe they don't have a mirror, because mirror is pretty rare. But I would have to differ. I would think that you'd have a mirror if you have a Terror Shield. Alright? Maybe you lose your mirror or something and you don't have it. It's whatever, but on base, I'm just going to say they have a mirror because they probably do. They have a freaking Terror Shield. Alright? Then 17% block rate. So this block rate, if you didn't know this, with your shield, we're going to be taking 35 shield into consideration, by the way. So 35 shield, whenever you get hit, if it is not on your shield, there's a 1 to 35% chance that you will block it. So when you get hit, it'll do its random number generator. It'll be like, 22% chance. And it'll be like, alright, random number generator. Was it between 1 and 22? If it was, block it. If it wasn't, don't block it. And then it'll do that every time you get hit. So we're just going to be taking the average. We're taking averages for everything here, by the way. So there's no luck. This is not good luck. This is not bad luck. This is average. All right. So 17% block rate. It would actually round up, but I'm going to round down because I am going to be bullying Necromancy in this debate. So 17% block rate. I'll go over that one more time after explaining it. 10% dodge, 30% deflection, 17% block. That's what we're taking into consideration, okay? So, when you use a blast combo, you will hit probably 7 embers. And of course, whenever you're using a drain, you're just hitting 1. So 7 embers. I calculated ember damage. I calculated about 50 different embers, and it hit around 23. So 7 embers doing 23 each. A drain, I calculated about 40 drain hits, and they rough out to about 31. That is damage / healing. So we're going to be taking this on like a point-based system. Basically, the embers only have damage, so their damage equals their points. Necromancy has damage and healing, so that's doubling over there. So 1 ember has 23 points, damage, whatever, efficiency, all that good crap. 1 drain has 62. Remember, they hit 31, but we're taking damage and healing. So 62. 7 embers hitting 23 damage straight on top of them is 161. 1 drain is 62. That means 7 embers is 99 points better than 1 drain. If they're just hitting it straight on top of each other, nothing gets resisted. So let's take our resistances into account. I actually call these base resistances because there are other like weirder resistances, but these are just base resistances. When you get hit by it, it will always activate, okay? So base resistances into account, remember 10% dodge, 30% deflect, 17% dodge. Whenever you combine this all together, you get roughly 52% of the embers hitting, aka about 4 of the embers are going to hit, dealing a total of 92 damage. Now, if you remember, drain is 62, embers 92. So, this would mean that blast combo is actually 50% more efficient than a drain. However, this is assuming that all you're doing is standing on top of each other. And we know those luxurious necromancers are not going to want to stand on top of each other, right? So, taking this into consideration, I've seen a few people, I asked some people for their opinions, I made my own opinion, and it all roughs out to be, while you're moving around, you're probably hitting about 50% of your embers if you're an average player. This will change if you're not so good at hitting embers, if you are good at hitting embers, but just on average, you're hitting like 50% of them. So, taking moving PvP into consideration, that would lower the ember hits from 52% of them to actually 26% of the 7 embers that the blast combo would have hit. So, that means that you're actually hitting around 2 embers per blast combo cast. AKA, 2 embers is 46 damage. And if you remember, 1 drain is 62 damage and healing. So that means that a drain is 25% more effective than a blast combo, moving around with before said resistances, 10% dodge, 30% deflect, 17% block on your around level 250 account with Terror Shield, of course. 25% more effective is what drain is. Based on these base calcs we have here, we can see that it should be drain is 25% more efficient than blast combos. So, is that fine with anybody? Does anybody have anything to say about that? Okay, speak up, voice, turn on your microphone, say something, message the channels, anything. If you have anything to say about it.
Not really.
All right. Great. So, there is, however, a few things that I need to address. Okay? A few things I need to address. before I get into the extras in this thing. So far, we have Drain is 25% more efficient than a Blast combo, moving around, PvP, good stuff. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I see pretty often actually said against me by necromancers, especially my love of my life deer. Oh my god, mega handsome man, absolutely love him. Good old deer. He especially says his stuff. Hunter Hunt is a big one too. Oh man. So, here are 5 rebuttals I often see whenever I'm talking about Drain versus Blast combo, which I've only done it a few times. This is also just taking all the numerous times I've talked about Drains. All sorts of good stuff. The only, this is from multiple people, by the way. I've heard these from multiple people. The only person who is not getting a say in this is Firegi, and I'm sure I don't have to explain why I didn't take any of his arguments into account. Alright? They're questionable. That's my only explanation. They're questionable. Alright? Rebuttal number 1. Lucky. I said all of these calculations the first time I did them, which wasn't even really accurate. I still proved that Drain was better than Blast combo just on paper to deer. And he said, "What do you mean? Lucky. That's good luck." Now, need I remind you, this is average luck. This is not good luck. Alright? Average everything. So Lucky, throw that out of the freaking window. It's average luck, guys. Come on. We'll get into number 2 now, which is resistances. So blocking and dodging, this is one thing that I've seen. Blocking and dodging resists Drain. Not necessarily. It really usually doesn't. So if you don't know, whenever you drain your weapon and you hit somebody, if they block or dodge it, it will not actually drain them, but it won't take your drain off either. So all you have to simply do is touch them again. And because we're Aberothians, we like touching people. Alright? Yes, that was intended. Really, all you have to do, if they block or dodge it, you just gotta whip around and hit them one more time. 99% of the time, it's not a problem. Alright, you can build around it. Especially if you're a necromancer using evocation, like in a real world situation, if you use a drain then start using evo, it's really unlikely they're going to resist all of that. But whatever, letting that crap seep into this debate. You should be able to loop around and hit it though, and that's why I think that it can be fairly safely ruled out. You can probably make some arguments with it using Shockwave or whatever whenever we get to that later, but for right now, with just Blast combo, I think you can safely rule it out. However, I will actually offer you guys one story. There was one time where blocking and dodging actually did resist Necromancy for me. So, I was being a good old Neanderthal in Arc Life on Fuzzy, and this was right after Cryptopsy lost his terror for the second time, and I was looking for a fight because I was mad, okay? So, I seen Uzara go in there, good old Necromancer. I don't know what his keeps are. They're pretty high, though, I think. And he came in there with his drain spam, and he was ready to fight. I was ready to fight. So I started tickling him. He started tickling me, okay? And I'm not kidding. When this dude started to use drains on me, I literally blocked like 10 attacks in a row. And obviously, because I blocked 10 attacks in a row, and I'm pretty sure I missed none of my embers. Maybe I missed a few, I'm not really sure. But he did eventually get low. By the time he got low, I was already below half. Maybe I was low too, I'm not really sure. But that was like one of the only times I've ever had a positive experience with the Necromancer. Because usually I just go over there and, they just sit there, probably playing Aberoth with their feet like I did in my latest video, eating popcorn. All they have to do is, they probably can just stand still and spam drains and they'll win. It just sucks. Only time One of the only times I've ever had a positive experience. So if you happen to like block 10 freaking attacks in the same row, then yeah, maybe it does resist that crap. But just on average, we'll roll it out for now, okay? So I will talk about trembling next. This is one of the other resistances that people bring up, and they act like it's something big. Now, if you guys didn't know, trembling actually got nerfed. I'm not really sure why, but it did. So now, the way that trembling works is if they're too low and you try to drain them and your drain would take too much health away from them, then they'll tremble it. But if the thing that got changed is if whenever you go to drain, if your drain would have done a higher drain than how much health you could heal, then it would also be trembled. But now, instead of doing that, it'll drain some amount of health, like maybe a 31, you have like 25 health left, and it'll heal you like 25 health off of full. It'll heal you back to full, and it'll deal 31 damage. I don't know why Simple changed it back. Trembling was fine. Actually, Trembling wasn't fine because Drain was still OP, but now it's just that much better, so you can recap your health, which of course we all needed for Necromancers, of course. So, Trembling, when is Trembling going to be a problem? The only time Trembling will ever be a problem is if you are fighting somebody while they're on their damage ring, okay? And in that situation, well, yeah, your drains aren't going to work. But hear me out, alright? If they're on their damage ring, they're also probably not attacking you. So, your drains wouldn't work in the first place, and you probably don't need them. So, I think Trembling is safe enough to rule out. Third one, of course, is that you can spam zone Necromancers and get their drains off. Well, chances are, if you're the one attacking a Necromancer and you try to spam zone them, you know what they're going to do? They're going to walk away. Oh, yeah, they're going to walk away. Like, if you're trying to PK them, and you go and you try to spam zone because you're taking too much damage, they're just going to walk away. Alright? And if you're in PvP and you're fighting each other, chances are they're not going to zone with you, and you're going to have to go back because you want to attack them. And if you want to attack them, you have to go back. And if you go away for too long, their winds are going to heal them. So it just doesn't work out. You can't just spam zone them. It just doesn't work. Alright? And of course, if you have anything to say about this, speak up. I'll talk about it if you have any arguments to make. But if not, I'll continue on to number 3, which is to remind you guys that, of course, we aren't using, alright, the only reason, you guys might be sitting here and you're like, why is this dude bringing this up again, that we're not using fear, silences, blinds, confusions, etc., we're just going school to school in this debate. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because every single time I tell them I'm not going to bring it up, in our arguments, all of the necrotards, my god, as soon as I make my arguments, they're like, just silence. And I already told them why we're not taking that into account, okay? Because Aberoth is RNG based, okay? I agree. If you silence a Necromancer and it takes them 4 rages to break it, you probably win. It doesn't matter if you're Divination, alright? You probably win. Because it's RNG, alright? And even Evocation and Necromancy, especially Evocation, is RNG. I just need to keep that out there. And also, one note on that: if you think Confusion resists Necromancy, like if you think it resists drains, it doesn't. Okay, if you want to hit them, you have to get close. If they're confused and you're close, they will still hit you. All right, they're gonna squiggle around and they're gonna manage to hit you. Okay, so Confusion does not block Necromancy. But, on the contrary, it does actually block Evocation. So I'm going on to number 4. I'm not really sure why this even became a problem. Actually, I think I might know why, and it is that there's a damage requirement in order to use drains. And yeah, you're right. While you're in PvP, you're taking damage, aren't you? So then it's not a problem, is it? Seriously, while you're in PvP, how is a damage requirement a problem? Because, like I said before, you can cap your health again and still do a lot of damage, but I just don't know how is the damage requirement a problem? All right, maybe like in a PK, if you're PKing somebody, yeah, they're probably not attacking you, so you probably can't use drains. But here's a question for you: why do people carry drains into PKs? Which, yes, they do. They do carry drains into PKs. It's because they manage to get attacked. All right, they usually manage to get attacked, so the drain actually works in PvP. PvP, PK, whatever. Alright? The damage requirement is a non problem in PvP. If they want to kill you, they're going to have to do damage. So you're going to have enough damage taken yourself in order to use drains. Alright? And then we'll get to number 5, of course, here. This will wrap it up. There are more, but if you have any, of course, feel free to say them. But this is the last one that I have written down here. And it's DPS. Embers do more damage. Yes, Embers do more damage than Drains, but they're not as efficient. Remember, we're taking it on like a point-based system here. Damage and heal, okay? Drains are more efficient than Embers. Embers do more damage, though. So if it were a contest of who kills each other faster, like just based on damage, if we're not taking healing into consideration, well, yeah, Embers do more damage. They would win in that department. But otherwise, if you are taking healing into consideration, Necro wins. Not even Necro, just Drain. Alright? So that'll end the rebuttals there. If you have anything to say about it, if you have anything that you want me to talk about, anything you want to share your own opinion on, go ahead and do that right now. I'll give you guys a brief moment here until we get into what I left out. Yeah, I'll talk about drain and win. I'll talk about win separately later. I actually have calculations for the cooldown and how much wins heal, and it's pretty interesting. I don't think I have to talk about Evos using drains Bayek because if Necro beats, well, if I'm gonna talk about sorry, I got that mixed up. If I'm gonna talk about drain evokers using drains, then I need to talk about necromancers also using Evo, and there's way more Evo than there is drains, you know? So that's just kind of how that's pointing out to me right there. But yeah, I can talk about that in a little bit if you want to. I'd like to wrap up the Necro versus Blast combo, like just base Blast combo real quick, okay? If that's okay with you guys. Alright, great. So I'll talk about what I left out here real quick, just with Drains versus Blast combo here. So what I left out is 5 real quick things, and then we got some calculations at the end there. So number 1, Ember aggro. So even if you're like right beside them using a blast combo, this also kind of ties into number 2 too. Ember aggro is really bad, especially in grassy field. Like, you can literally be standing on them, and some of your embers will get aggroed off. So there's really no guarantee that you're hitting all 7 embers. And number 2 is aiming. You have to aim them, okay? You have to aim them. Now, I already gave them the moving PvP debuff, but one thing I didn't mention is that was just overall. That's like taking open world and close quarters into consideration, just overall ember hitting. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but it would actually be harder to hit embers in more open spaces, like grassy forest desert, for example, right? And Evo aggro is really bad in grassy, so you get really punished there if you decide to use Evo. I'm kind of confused here. Are you saying if I shoot an ember at a tree, it'll go through the tree? Because embers get stopped by inanimate objects. Well, that's like Evo aggro. It depends on kind of the angle that it gets hit by that. And if you're in I'm talking about like open areas. Um, like, would you guys generally agree that it's harder to hit embers in open areas than it is in close areas, like close quarters, like maze, orcs, Graham? Now, also correct me if I'm wrong here, but doesn't isn't most open world PvP, doesn't it like 90% of the time take place in grassy forest desert? If so, that would mean that my 50% is actually incorrect and it should be higher. You should be missing more embers because it should be harder to hit them. Because whenever I did my calculations for that, I was taking every area into consideration. So if you're taking that there, then that's a really big nerf I put on Necro there. All right, so I'm gonna continue here. I'd like to keep this video like below an hour if possible. It might not be possible. Anyways, number 3 is just titled shield facing. So if your shield is facing them, it usually doesn't happen on purpose, but sometimes whenever they go to land the blast tri-single, if your shield happens to be facing them, it'll happen sometimes. It does happen. Your 17% block rate gets turned into a 35% block rate, meaning that you're going to actually be resisting a lot more Evo. Interesting, right? So that'll happen like over time. Obviously, I'm not saying that every single freaking combo, maybe like every, I don't know, 5 combos or something, maybe 10, your shield might be facing them and you're going to be blocking more embers with that, right? Now, I'll go on. This one, I can see you there, Banana Boy, saying all this stuff is intriguing. Well, this is really intriguing. This is something to really think about. And it's keep chance. You know, you're using 1 necromancy scroll, okay? And 3 evos. You're gonna be burning your ember scrolls faster than you're burning your 1 drain. And also, at this level, your Orbis keep isn't going to be that high. So whenever you run out of blast, you're ultra screwed when you run out of blast. Because I've already proved that Necro is 25% more efficient than blast combo. So what about comparing it to tri-single? That's no good. So even if you want to say that we go up into higher levels like 300s where your keeps are absurdly high, you're still using 3 Evo scrolls compared to 1 Necro scroll. There's a higher chance that you're burning your Evo rather than your Necro. Yeah, that's a fair point there, Blue Magic, but we're just taking Drain versus Blast combo real quick. So the Necro can't have any Evo, Evo can't have any Necro yet, okay? So if you guys agree with that, then you should be able to agree with this too. While singles are easier to get than drains and tries should be about as hard to get, blasts are actually going to be harder to get than drains by a pretty substantial amount. So you'll actually probably be going in with less blasts. Ooh, good voice crack there from good old Fuzzy Syckx. You're going to be going in there with less blasts. Alright? You'll probably have the same amount of tries and singles, but less blasts, okay? Do you guys agree with that? So, as soon as your blasts run out, you're dead. Screwed. Big memes from the Fuzzy Syckx voice crack out here. I'm pretty sure, actually, fun fact, I've voice cracked in all 3 of the attempts to make this video. The first, the second, and then this one. So, big OP. Anyways, getting into number 5 now, we're going to get into additional gear. Number 1, I'm going to be adding parchment into the evoker's inventory, I guess. So if you add Parchment with its 10% resistance on Drain, so Drain just on itself is 62, remember 31 damage and heal, so that's 62. Well, if you add a 10%, if you have a 10% resistance to Drains, 90% of 62 is 56. And if you remember, guys, going back to the Blast Combo calculation, uh, Blast Combo hitting 2 Embers is only 46. Meaning that even if the Evoker has a Parchment on, the Necromancer, the Drains, are actually still 18% more efficient than the Blast Combo, even if the Evoker has a Parchment on. And then we'll go into additional calc number 2, assuming you have a Scepter. Alright, Scepter, there's 31 Scepters in the game. There's a really low chance you're going to have a Scepter on, but if you manage to possibly have a Scepter on, with your 20% magic resistance right there, alright, 20% or 80% of 62, the drain, is around 50, which is still 8% more efficient than the 46 from Blast Combo. So if you somehow have a Scepter and a Parchment on, drains are still better. It's absurd. I'll let you guys absorb that for a minute there. And one thing I didn't actually put on here is chances are you actually probably are wearing a golden clover at the... Well, you might be wearing a golden clover. The Necro might be. So that's 5% more dodge rate on the Embers, less Embers hitting you. And if we're going to add that the Evoker can have a Scepter, then the Necromancer should be able to have Evo Gauntlets, right? Because Scepter is really rare. Evo Gauntlets are really rare. I'm pretty sure Evo Gauntlets cost more. But if we give Evo Gauntlets to them, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Evo Gauntlets don't give Ember resistance. They reduce the amount of damage that it does by 20%. Bayek here saying we have 39 gauntlets and 30 scepters. That would mean that gauntlets are actually easier to get your hands on too. So the Evo gauntlets would be lowering the, I'll do a quick math check here. They'd be lowering the damage by 20% of the blast combo. So if you're saying that the blast combo is dealing 46 damage, times that by 0.8, 37 damage, that means that using a scepter, a parchment, and an Evo gauntlet, comparing these bad boys together, we actually end up getting, what is that? Drains are 26% more efficient than Blast Combo for taking these rock items into consideration. Very interesting these extra calcs are, aren't they? Yeah. If you guys got any questions, if you guys got any questions, I'll answer them right now, alright? Because that pretty much wraps up Necro versus Blast Combo. Question 1. Would I prefer Evo Gauntlets or Necro Scepter? Well, I'd prefer Evo Gauntlets. Necro Scepter is really good, but I would definitely prefer Evo Gauntlets. You know, I've seen a lot of arguments between which is better, Morningstar or Necro Scepter, and I still think Scepter is better definitely for PvP. I think it's a no-brainer that it's better, but Evo Gauntlets, just getting rid of your spiked gloves, it's really no big deal for the bonus that Evo Gauntlets give. And they even lower shockwave damage too. If you didn't know that, they lower embers and shockwave damage. Alright, question 2. Do I think that agility boots are worth the price they are? So, Agis are like 80k right now, I think. I don't know. That question is like kind of wacky. I will say this though. Hopefully this answers your question. I would say that agility boots make a really big difference. That's all I'll say. Agility boots really do make a really big difference. All right. The difference between wearing Agis and not wearing Agis is pretty noticeable. All right. So that wraps it up for the little Q&A there from good old Banana Man. All right. So that pretty much wraps up the Drain versus Blast combo there, but that's not the end of our journey, my fine friends. Oh no. After said thing, I'm actually going to be comparing. I'll be talking about what happens if you throw Shockwave in there, alright? So we would have to raise their levels, and you have to understand the higher level you go from here, the worse Evo gets. Because your shield level will keep raising up and up and up, and of course, you get your higher base resistance. But also, if they manage to be touching your shield, that resistance goes up by a lot over time. So whenever you get up to 300, level 300s, and you have like 42 shield compared to 35 shield, well, Evo's getting way worse, and up in those levels, it's way more likely that you have Evo Gauntlets and Necroceptors, you know? One thing, by the way, if you didn't know this, magic resistance actually does not resist Evo. That's why I didn't bring up Parchment against it. This was confirmed by Simple himself. It does not resist Evo. Because Embers are fire damage, I think magic resistance actually does resist. I think magic resistance resists Shockwave, though. So I'm not like 100% sure on that, but I think it does. That's something to keep in mind, though. But we're going to have to raise their levels up with the Shockwave because they have to have at least like an expert keep in Shockwave for it to make any difference. Because if they use like one or two Shockwaves, it is going to do nothing, okay? What's the Shockwave going to do? Knock the Necromancer back? Like, maybe if the Evo is trying to escape, but this is like a death battle, like they have to go until they die, the Shockwave isn't going to do enough damage to actually make a big difference, because the Necro can just, over time, keep going up and up and up, and you've seen before, the only way that the Shockwave would actually start making a big difference, and it would take the Necromancer a while to get their health back up with just drains, is if the Evoker has both a Scepter and a Parchment, where drains are only 8% more efficient. But even then, who knows? You know, all those 5 arguments that I left out before, that's still in effect. So, I mean, really, you have to be spamming Shockwaves, and Shockwave has a pretty low cooldown. It's like 5 seconds, I think. 5-6 seconds. So you'd have to be spamming Shockwaves for it to do anything, and to spam Shockwaves would also mean that you can't actually hit your evocation on them, and whenever you go to use a Shockwave, they might still be able to hit the drain on you before they can get knocked back with the Shockwave. You see what I'm saying? In this sense, your Shockwave keep has to be higher, so we're getting to like 60, 70, 80% shock keep for it to start making a difference in this fight, you know? And to maybe give the Evo the advantage. But tell me, who has an 80% Shockwave keep? Hardly anyone. You're gonna find it. You're going to be seldom to find someone with a high enough shock keep for it to make a difference. All right. Do you guys have anything to say on that? So I still think that Drain beats literally all of Evo, just because the keeps kind of screw Shockwave. You know, Shockwave as it works, it's not good enough in this battle. You know, even if you use it perfectly, I still think you're going to burn it too fast. It's not going to make enough of a difference. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can also resist Shockwave with Shield, right? I think you can block it. Maybe. I don't know. So, do you guys have anything to say on that, though, or are you ready to move on? Alright, Bayeklud says, hard to say right now. Yeah, you guys can bring up these questions at any point during the debate, by the way. I'll go back and I'll answer them for you, because this is supposed to be a debate. Yeah, I don't even know if shields can block shockwaves. I really don't. I would think that they probably wouldn't, because it would just be like getting pushed back and not taking damage, but then again, it could happen like that. I'm not really sure. Great. So, I'll be going on now, and I will talk about Healing Wind. Now, Healing Wind is one of the most underrated scrolls in the entire game. And it is so underrated that, prepare your ears, by the way. This is going to get some, ear rape here for the YouTube, not for the people on Discord. But, I actually underrated wins, and I still said that they were OP. Isn't that interesting? I used to think that wins around this level should probably heal like 13 HP or so, and you can cast them about every 3 seconds. Well, they actually heal around 20 health. I'm not really sure on the exact amount, but it is around 20 HP for people with around 20 life, so it might be higher by the time you get up here, but I'm just going to be taking 20, for example. So it could be higher, and it probably can't be lower. I don't know, maybe it's RNG and it's got like a value. It probably does, but I'm going to say it's like 20, okay? So 20 HP per wind. The base wind cooldown, which I actually have, is about 2.7 seconds from what I've calculated. So assuming that your dude here at around level 250 has like just 24 magic, which you probably have higher magic by this point, but assuming you only have 24 magic, the wind cooldown is actually 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Great. So that means while you're already better than all of evocation in PvP as a necromancer, every 2 seconds you're getting 20 HP. Now, assuming your life is like around 300, if you divide that by 20, that should be about 15 casts. AKA you can heal from 0 to full on wins in 30 seconds. You can also heal any teammates around you from 0 to 100% in 30 seconds if they're around 300 HP. Interesting. This is going on while the evoker is having to deal with the drain spam, and also while the evoker is running around waiting for their blast to come back up, the necromancer is running around. They're just getting wins for free. They're not even taking continuous damage. You know what I'm saying? And if the necromancer gets shocked back, whenever we start to get into the really high levels, when you start to say that if they have like a by God warlock shockwave keep, I'm pretty sure nobody has it yet. But a warlock shockwave keep, if you want to say that they're just sitting there just spamming shockwaves, shooting them backwards over and over and over, the wins are probably out healing the shockwaves. Alright? The wins are probably out healing the shockwaves. And my reason why is whenever the necromancer gets low, they're just going to start running away, making it way harder for the evoker to hit their embers. So while the necromancer is running away, the evo is going to have a hard time hitting their embers, like really hard. They might not even be able to hit them. And the necromancer is just going to spam wins, get back to full, come back. That's what they do, you know? So, and in normal PvP, you have things to block against this, but still, while they're running away, the evoker is going to have way less opportunities to hit their embers. So the wins are going to be even more effective, and they're hitting multiple people too. So if you're in a group of like 10 people, and you're all getting healed by the wind, every wind is healing 200 HP. Think about that, okay? 200 HP. When you're using just winds and drains, you're probably throttling the evoker at that point. You're doing it with just drains, honestly. So, how was the winds there for the PvP situation for you guys? You got any questions about it yet? Or are you ready to continue the debate even further? Alrighty, I'm not seeing any questions. I'm not seeing anything. So I'm going to continue, okay? So, I'm going to be talking about Race Skeleton now. Okay? Oh, you were AFK, okay. I said all of my freaking... Did you catch any of the wind stuff, Bayek? Well, I'm gonna have to skip, okay? Because I don't want to just repeat for the video, okay? So, I'm gonna be talking about Ray Skelly next. So, Ray Skelly is not great in open world because it crumbles whenever you leave the area. Chances are they're gonna try to force you to leave the area, and I mean, it's gonna be a bad time. So, Ray Skelly is only really good in close quarters, which it's going to be pretty good because it can soak damage for the necromancer. It can actually save them from getting killed by giving them kind of a meat shield there. It can pin the Evo for them in a position to where the necromancer can hit them and drain them without the Evo being able to hit them with embers. So where this pin is really going to come in handy is actually going to be shifting into PKing. You can pin people with Ray Skellies while you're PKing, and they're going to have a really hard time breaking that pin. And also, Skellies do a lot of damage, okay? So they have some pretty good DPS helping the Necromancer out. They're good meat shields. You can use them decently fast. Not like super fast, but decently fast. For Ray Skellies, at least, raising them up. And if you happen to be close quarters, like in the maze or in Orc Cave or something, the Evoker's wasting their embers on that, they're taking damage, and the Necromancer can chill in the back, when to go back in, hit some drains, do whatever they want. The Ray Skelly is just kind of finessing the Evoker there. And even if you are an open world PvP, the Skelly can still become a problem. Like, if you guys happen to stop speeding, the Skelly can probably become a problem for the Evoker, because eventually it'll get to them and they'll have to kill it, unless they get you to zone. But where this Ray Skelly is going to be insane is going to be in 1v1s, an enclosed area, because you have to kill it, okay? Even in close quarters areas, you can still, manage to run away from it. Well, in 1v1s, you can't. You have to kill it, and you have to waste your resources on it, or you're going to be taking a lot of damage, okay? You can go and watch 1v1s. It's pretty much mandatory that you bring one if you can use Ray Skelly in 1v1s, because they're great, Like Ray Skelly and Acid Cloud and Revealing Light, you need them all. Ray Skelly's great in 1v1s, pretty good in close quarters, okay in open world sometimes. And the reason why I really wanted to go in depth with that is because people really do kind of downgrade Ray Skelly a lot, because it is way better than what people give it credit for. Now, to be fair, it has a pretty big drawback in that you have to carry bone frags with you to summon it, but it's so good that it can basically make or break your PvP situation if you manage to pin them. You know what I'm saying? So, and then of course, I'm pretty sure that Necromancy is better better in 1v1 than Evocation, because one thing that Evocation has on Necromancy in open world is that they can run around and wait for their blast combo to come back up. Well, in 1v1 situations, when they're in close quarters, there's a pretty good chance that the Necromancer will actually be able to hit a drain before the Evoker can get their blast combo back up. and then the Necromancer backs off, waits for their drain to come back up because it has a way faster cooldown than Blast, and then boom, they just got an extra drain there, you know? And while you could argue while they do that, the Evoker probably has like a tri-single ready, but even if you stand on top of each other with a tri-single, drain still wins. That's assuming that the Evoker hits all four of those embers, actually. Alright. So, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Necromancy probably freaking stomps in 1v1s. The only thing that's bad for them is that the Evoker can easily catch up to them whenever they get low and they try to run around and spam wins, but they can still run around and spam wins. It's still possible. Alright. So, do we have any questions on that? And to end this off too, I'm just going to say PKing in terms of Necros compared to Evos. Evos are better for PKing because they have all the damage and you really only need DPS and PKing. You know, you can pin people with raised skellies, but the DPS is better, okay? I just want to get that off. Evo is better in PKing. Unless you have something to say about that, argue about that, go ahead and say it now. Anything about raised skelly? Alright, pretty good reception. You guys seem to generally agree with me. So I'm going to move on. And I'm going to start talking about farming. So we're past PvP at this point. I'm pretty sure you guys agree with me now that Necromancy is better than Evocation in PvP generally. It's not better in PKing, but PvP 1v1s it is better. And by a pretty good margin too. Now we'll get into farming. And I will try to convince you guys that Necromancy is actually better in farming too. So, let's get into this. Okay. Necromancy, when it comes to farming, I'm going to start with Healing Wind, because I'm going to be talking about tomb farming, okay? When we compare Wind to just try and single, because you're not using blasts while you're farming, just Wind compared to try and single, the only reason why I think that Wind is better than try and single in terms of farming, because whenever you're hitting tries and singles on things like Scaldor, you're standing straight on top of them, hitting all four embers, nothing's getting resisted. The only reason why I think that Winds are better than it is because, number one, while you do kill stuff way faster with Evocation, there is a way lower chance that you die whenever you're using Winds. Way lower chance. And you can also, it's better for escaping PKs too. So if you're getting PK'd and you're trying to spam Evo, that's just feeding their drains, right? Well, if you have Winds, that's just making it harder to kill you. So it's better for avoiding PKs, and while you're farming, it'll be harder for you to die. So yeah, it might take longer to kill the enemies, but you have a way lower chance of getting killed while you're farming. One other thing you should take into consideration too is Wind is definitely better than single, because Wind cooldown is 0.2 seconds faster on base than single. So you can use Winds faster, and Winds are just better than singles for farming, really, because I'm pretty sure singles actually cost more than Winds, don't they? Like, Winds are like 400, singles are like 500. Yeah, Winds cost less. And here's one of the really big things. If you're just using singles to kill stuff, like if you try to just use singles to kill Scowl will probably kill you because you don't have enough health and you're not killing him fast enough. You have to use tries to help you out to do it. Well, when you're using tries, sometimes some people's try keeps are lower than their win keeps, so they might be burning tries faster. You're using 2 Evo scrolls, so you are burning scrolls faster. And do you know how many wins 1 try is worth? If we say 1 try is 2k and a win is 400, how many wins equals 1 try? And yeah, you have to have good keeps with wins or Evo, really. 400 gold-ish for a wind. 2k for a try maybe. That would mean that you can get 5 wins per try. So when you burn a try, which you might have a lower keep on it than you do your wind, you're basically burning 5 wins. And if you didn't know this, you really only need if you have a sorcerer keep or a G-Sword keep, you only need 5 wins to kill Scowl. Meanwhile, you need I don't know, maybe 2 tries, 2 singles, maybe 3. So in efficiency, wins are better than tries and singles for farming. If you want to say that you can just single walk Lich, that is fair. It is a lot easier to kill Lich with single walk, but the Skellies are going to be blocking your singles sometimes, and like I said before, you can avoid getting killed with Necromancy way easier. And then we get, of course, to alive enemies, which is basically just werewolf, and you just add drain on there, and if wind is better than try and single, then wind and drain is way better than try and single. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Alright, so with drain, not only are you killing the enemy faster, but you're also healing faster. So, Evocation loses some of the potency in its ability to kill stuff faster because now the Necromancer has drains with them. And in reality, you can even use race Skellies. Give them a freaking Morning Star to help you kill Werewolf. I've seen it used before, and you can kill it pretty easily with that. So I think that Necromancy, just in general, is just more efficient than Evocation in terms of farming. If you have a really high Evo keep, and you just want to use Evo because you like to kill stuff faster, sure, you can do that. But you're safer using winds and drains. Here's something that'll tickle your chest hairs, though. Did you know that it is possible, if you have 40-ish life, to go onto your preservation amulet while you're killing Skaldor and use winds while you're on that, taking half damage, and you will be able to use half the amount of winds, aka 1 wind equals 2 tries. Or some weird freaking numbers there. So it'd be 2 times as efficient, just using winds. One thing I also forgot to mention is that if you have a party with you, you're also healing them with healing winds. And embers are single target. Embers don't pass through targets, they're single target. Wind attaches to multiple people. I mean, if you're Prezi winding in Scowl, every freaking try you use at that point is equal to 10 freaking wins or some arbitrary number. Some calc like that. I don't have these calcs written down, sorry guys. But doubly as efficient. It was already better before in my opinion. Now it's just no-brainer. And if you have a Necro friend with you, you're getting double the freaking healing too. That's good, Blue Magic. Almost called you Bludgeon there. So if you have multiple Evo, sure, you're killing them faster, but if you have multiple Necros, think about how hard it's going to be to get PK'd with 2 Necromancers spamming wins. So you're way better for avoiding PKs. While you're not killing stuff as fast, you're still killing Werewolf pretty quick as a Necromancer, but while you're not killing Scowl and Lich as fast as a Evoker, you're way safer and you're using way less. So that's why I think that Necromancer is better than Evocation for farming. Yeah, that's fair too, Blue Magic. You can kill Weewo with only speeds and drains. Yeah, and you waste more as an Evo because you're using more scrolls. So just overall, I think it works out, in my opinion, of course, that Necro beats Evo in farming. Alright, Bayek is saying that Necro is better at farming, but in PKing Evo is better. Yeah, I agree. You know, Evo is better for PKing. but it's worse in all other categories, in my opinion. I hope I've somewhat converted you with these classes here. I kind of want to wrap this video up pretty soon here. So if you guys have any final questions or anything, or you want to argue with anything that I said here, go ahead and ask me. If you want me to reiterate anything, give more in depth to anything or whatever, just go ahead and say. And here at the very end here, I'm just gonna mention something. I think this was Blue Magic who asked for this earlier. What would happen if the Evo used the drain? Another voice crack there. Holy crap, 2 voice cracks. This is getting bad. Anyways, what would happen if the Evoker using their crap also used drains and the Necro used Evo? Well, because we've confirmed that drains are better, I would say that the benefit they get is probably more in favor for the Evo, but I still think that the Necro probably beats them out. You know? You can argue about it, or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they probably still win. Blue Magic here saying if you're a Necro and you're getting PK'd while you farm, you can PK them. Yeah, you can do that, but you can also do that with Evocation. And it might actually be easier to do that with Evocation, because you can get your DPS higher. But it's safer with drains, you know. Drains are really for like more drawn out fights. Evo is like for ending it quicker. But if you can't end it quickly with Evo, then it doesn't work out. Blue Magic said, yeah, but I don't know if Necro carries a lot of Evos in his carry. Well, yeah, he doesn't have to, because he has drains. And you're right, Evos do carry like 6 freaking drains with them, because drains are OP. They are. All this stuff is pretty good that you guys are saying here. I'd say, really, again, any questions, anything really, go ahead and say it if you want to. And if you guys don't have any, I will address one final thing, just to laugh at Deer a little bit more. Alright, something that I just remembered. Alright, I'll go ahead, guys. So the thing I didn't mention before is Deer's magical video where he got on Deer and he pretty much one-shot free candy with a potency, I think a drain pot blast tri-single shockwave. Alright? And all of the necrotards are like, oh my god, you can one-shot them, man! You can one-shot them with the combo! Take a look at this video! Oh my god! The bigger your combo is, the harder it is to hit. The more the higher the probability that you're going to start missing stuff, the bigger your combo is. You know what I'm saying? And you can still resist it. Your shield can still happen to be facing it, and you can get the higher shield block resistance, whatever. And also, have you guys ever seen that combo actually used in moving PvP? No, you haven't, because people can't hit it. They can't. They're not confident enough. So, and also just to poke fun at that, you know, that was an ungeared account. Completely ungeared. They had no resistances, nothing. They weren't even moving. Do you guys have anything to say about that there? If not, I'm going to wrap up the video, because good old Fuzz is getting hungry. Yeah, alright. I hope it's all. You know, I hope I'm broadening people's perspectives, horizons, opinions, everything. Alright, great. Well, it's not the debate that I was looking for. Like, you guys were pretty much in agreement with everything that I said, which is fine. It was calculations, so I guess it should have been expected. But Here we go, 80 minutes. I'll try to refine this video a little bit. Uh, make it all better. And if you guys see any necrotards to end off this video, remember that you have permission from Lord Fuzz to bully them. Send them this video link and tell them watch it all. 80 minutes of greatness. And if you are here watching the video, you can join special events like this on my Discord. The Discord will be linked in the description. Please don't join it to troll or anything, because you will get banned. The rules here will be pretty strict. And this has been Fuzzy Syckx. And my next video will be something about every scroll in the game.